Hello, Energy Flow Astrology. It is Julie. It is Tuesday, April 18th, 2023. And I hope you're all doing well and excited about what is happening in the energies in the sky right now that is leading up to our first eclipse of 2023, which is going to be very, very powerful. And so what I want to do in this little mini masterclass that I'm offering for all of you free, because I feel that this is just really important information to set you up for not only this eclipse and this new moon that's happening this week, but where this energy is leading into 2024, 2025, and actually 2026 and 27. So there's a lot to unpack here. This will be a video that you'll want to come back to as you're watching the replay. Perhaps what you can do is timestamp in a notebook so you know when to come back to certain parts of this video and when they'll be relevant at different times of the year. So I'm going to start with 2023, where we began and where we are today. So let's remember, in the beginning of 2023, I told you that January and February were going to be a bit slow. Excuse me. We had Mars hanging out in the sign of Gemini, and typically Mars spends 2 months on average in each one of the signs, and Mars takes about 2 years to go all the way around your chart. Well, in 2023, Mars entered Gemini in August, went retrograde from October through January, and then didn't start to move forward into a new sign of Cancer until after March 17th. So right now we have Mars sitting here in Cancer. And Mars really isn't a fan of being in Cancer. Mars is ruled by Aries. It's a fire sign. It wants to move fast. It wants to be impulsive. And what's Cancer? Cancer is a water sign. It wants to be more intuitive. It wants to kind of take its time and feel things out before it takes action. So right now, Mars is not in a very powerful position in being in Cancer. What else is going on is back in the beginning of March, we had Saturn, right? The planet of our biggest life lessons. Saturn moved into Pisces after being in the sign of Aquarius for 2.5 years. So wherever Saturn goes, right, that's where our biggest life lessons are going to be. What is Pisces? Pisces is our dreams. Pisces is our spiritual life. And with Saturn being there, Saturn is there to ground our dreams, to get a structure in our spiritual life. So you're going to want to identify in your chart, where is Pisces, right? Where is Cancer? Notice what house those signs are sitting in. Additionally, in March, because March was like the big full month of big shifts for the first time in 2023, we had Pluto, right? The planet of transformation and change, changing signs from Capricorn, where it's been since 2008. And it dipped its toes into Aquarius at the 0 degree mark. So it's sitting here right now at 0 degrees. And unlike Mars, that spends, about on average 2 months in each one of the signs, Pluto is a very erratic moving planet, and it can spend anywhere from 7 to 8 years up to 16 years, like it has in Capricorn. And now that it's moved into Aquarius, it's going to be sitting in the sign of Aquarius from 2023, get this, until 2044. So we're going to have Pluto in the sign of Aquarius for the next 20 years. So again, you're going to want to identify where is Aquarius in your chart, because that's going to be an area of your life that's going to be really under review and under, with any place where Pluto goes, it's transformation and massive change, but it really does start mostly with a crisis, a death. It could be a physical death. It can be an internal death. It could be loss of a job. Something happens, it kind of falls apart, and then through the Pluto metamorphosis, right, there is a change, a complete change on the other side after Pluto has been through your sign. So just imagine, right? You want to look back. Pluto in Capricorn went in 2008. Think about your life. What was happening in 2008? In my life, I was working in corporate and I was doing coaching. I just got promoted to an internal coaching job at Deloitte. Well, Capricorn is corporations and government and kind of more the global scale of old systems and the old regime. What started to happen in 2008 and 2009, right? Everything started to crash, right? We had the economic crash of 2008 into 2009. And since 2008 and 2009, I have not been back in a corporate office ever because I got let go in 2009 and I've never returned back to a corporate setting. So that's kind of, so look back in your own life to think about where is Capricorn in your chart? What old systems, what old leaders, what old ideas have you had to let go of, let them die and turn into ashes so they can reborn? And so now with Pluto going into Aquarius, Aquarius is the future. It's progress. It's about innovation, being different, being your unique self. So we had to crush our old ways of being. And now Pluto is coming into Aquarius to transform, right, us in a new way. And so the key with Aquarius, right, is actually being your original self. So you're going to want to pay attention. Where's Aquarius in your chart? Where's Pisces in your chart? Two of the most important planets that give us clues as to where there'll be challenges and big changes in our life. So along the way, in 2023, Aries is sitting up here right after Pisces, correct? And through January, February, and March, we've had Jupiter, Mercury, Mars, Venus, Chiron, and the Sun right now all going through the sign of Aries. So you've had an opportunity over these last 3 or 4 months to kind of get a feel for what this Aries energy is. So again, I want you to go to your chart. I want you to find where Aries is, because this Aries energy, what is Aries? Aries is new beginnings. It's fast, it's fiery, it's passion, it's independence, it's being fiercely independent. So you want to understand where in your chart is Aries asking you to be fiercely independent and do new things and take courageous new actions. Now, when the sun first went into Aries back in March, right, we had the sun and the moon that came together, and that's a new moon. In every sign, we have a new moon and a full moon every month. What's unique about the sun and the moon in Aries in 2023 is that the first new moon that happened back in March happened at the 0 degree mark. So the sun and the moon came together, right? We had a new moon and it was an opportunity for new beginnings. So think about 30 days ago. What was happening in your life 30 days? Find Aries. Look at that house area. With this eclipse that is happening on the 20th, the sun has moved 1 degree every day over the last 30 days. And now it's a unique opportunity for there to be another new moon in the same sign. And so when there's 2 new moons in a sign, that's actually called a black moon. What makes this even more interesting are a couple other things. Every sign, as if you guys all know, being on the campus here for a while, there's 30 degrees in every sign, 0 to 29. 0 is a very powerful, it's a critical number, and it's all about the new beginnings. Any of the degrees in the middle is a time of, building up on that knowledge. So Aries, new beginnings, then we're kind of building and getting stronger on it. And when any planet starts getting close to the 29 degree, we call that, and it's an antaric degree. And that's actually, in astrology, not a very strong degree. It's a degree of completion, but it's a completion through a death, right? It's over, it's done with, no more, right? We're at that 29th degree and now we need to move on. So I'm going to show you in a minute the chart for 2020, for April 20th, when you're seeing this new moon. But you want to imagine the sun and the moon are coming together at that 29-degree point. And even though when the sun and the moon come together, typically that's a new beginning, for all of us, it's a new beginning based on something finally being over. I'm done. I've had it. I can't do this anymore, right? And that's what's going to be the powerful new beginning. What we want to add into the mix of this is at that 29-degree, what's on the other side of Aries? The next sign is Taurus. Well, the day after, right, the eclipse is on Wednesday, we're going into, or Thursday, Friday, depending on where you are in the world, you will be off a day or two. The day after the new moon, the sun and the moon are coming into Taurus. Taurus is a fixed sign. What are the fixed signs in our chart? Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. What's sitting at 0 degrees in Aquarius is Pluto. Whatever sits at any of the other fixed signs at a similar degree, they're squares, right? We talk about trines and squares. And when you look at your chart, you see blue lines and red lines. A square is actually a red line, right? So there's tension. So this Pluto is having tension with the sun and that new moon sitting there at that 29-degree and going into Taurus. So again, 29 is already a degree of kind of death and completion. And then we add on to that the Pluto square. So that's giving an extra oomph to this completion. It's time to move into new innovative ways. Like we're all going to be challenged not to go backwards, but to go forward. On top of all that, we have the new moon, we have the square with Pluto. Mercury, as we all know, retrogrades 3 times every year. Where is Mercury right now? Mercury is sitting in the sign of Taurus, and she will actually start her retrograde on the 21st as well. So we have these energies of new beginnings through completion and death and done, and I've had it. And then you're going to have Mercury for the next 3 weeks reviewing, what is Taurus? Taurus is things we value. It's our money. It's our resources. So we have a lot going on that's being triggered by this eclipse. The most important thing that I'm going to point out in this presentation is for each and every one of you to understand how Aries and Libra are operating in your chart. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to share this with you in the presentation, the nodes, right? What makes an eclipse? An eclipse happens not when the sun and the moon come together, but the nodes, right? Those are those calculated points in the sky. And we're going to dive deeper into this, that when they come within 18 degrees of the sun, the new moon, or a full moon, that's what creates an eclipse, right? And so the nodes for the last 18 months have been sitting in the sign of Taurus and Scorpio. Unlike the planets that move from 0 to 29 when they go around the chart, the nodes actually go retrograde and they start at 29 and they go to 0. Guess where the nodes are right now? The nodes are sitting at 4 degrees. So if it's 4 degrees on Taurus and it's 29 degrees in Aries, right? That's 5 degrees. That's what's creating this powerful eclipse. And in July, the nodes will transfer into Aries and Libra from July 2023 until January 2025. And why is that critical for each and every one of us to know? Because wherever the nodes go, the north node, right, the one that looks like a headset, that is where we need to focus our energy for 18 months. So for all of us, we're going to have this Aries house once again be very activated and a lot of focus on this. So I want to take some time in this presentation to look at where's the north node and where do we need to focus, and what's on the opposite side of Aries is Libra. And wherever the south node goes, right, the south node is the one that looks like a cup. So you want to think of a cup and you're dumping it out. So What is the difference between Aries and Libra? Well, this is the I am versus we are. This is about being fiercely independent, and this is about being codependent. So all of us are going to be asked in some area of our lives to be less codependent, to be less needy on negotiating with other people, right? Libra likes to negotiate and weigh things out. And we're all going to ask to get a little more uncomfortable and step into that Aries energy for 18 months. So wouldn't you like to know what that would look like for you? Well, I have that all ready for you to go. So I am going to share my screen here. And I put together a little presentation. And so this presentation is the Aries-Libra axis. And I'm saying it's time to focus on fierce independence versus being fixated on diplomatic relationships. And for many of you here, you are caretakers. You are so generous in being there for other people. But during this time, you're going to be asked to kind of step away from being that caretaker, step away from, listening to what other people say and asking for their approval. And it's a time in your life that you need to dig deep inside and really not just hear what your heart is telling you and your soul is wanting, but it is time to make immediate action. So where is that happening? So like I said, 2023 has been the year of Aries, and we've already had several of the planets kind of moving through this sign. So find Aries in your chart. And, just kind of briefly, what is Aries, right? Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. He's a fire sign. He's cardinal, right? He's authoritative. He's a leader. It's masculine energy. Aries kicks off the spring season and the astrology new year. The dates are the 21st to around April 19th or so. It rules the body part of your head. It also rules inflammation and cuts and burns. Its ruling planet is Mars. It's the god of war. We might actually be coming into a time of a lot more volatility on the globe. But, this presentation, I'm keeping more on an individual level versus kind of talking about mundane astrology, which is how the astrology impacts the world. So today we're really just focusing on how this is impacting us as individuals. The transits, the traits and the qualities with Aries is wherever that Aries is sitting in your chart, that's where you need to be a little more competitive. You're passionate, you're motivated, you need to be relentlessly determined. You need to be direct and not apologize. Aries doesn't like details, and it can kind of get bogged down in the details. It just wants to move. It wants to learn through taking action. It is quick and it is dirty. So again, you want to find where Aries is sitting in your chart to understand where this energy is being activated. Now, last night or yesterday on April 17th, I posted about looking at Aries in your chart from the concept of the different quadrants in the circle. I sit here and often we look at the 12 pieces, the 12 slices, the houses within your chart, but you can also look at that circle in 4 quadrants. The bottom right left-hand quadrant, this is the first house, second house, and third house. So if you have Aries on the first house, second house, and third house, again, if you want more details on this, you can look at yesterday's presentation. But the overall thing that you want to think about is this is the quadrant of the self. You're asking questions about who am I? What do I value? What do I think? These are going to be really big themes for you, not only around the eclipse, but as we move from the nodes going into Aries and Libra in July through January 2025. If you have Aries sitting in the house of the 4th house, the 5th house, or the 6th house, that is the second quadrant. It's the lower right-hand quadrant. It's under the horizon. So once again, it'll be a little more internal. And the second house has to do with developing your self-awareness through family, through children, through dating, through your coworkers. So this is all about looking at what makes me passionate? What am I willing to do? How do I want to serve and be of service in the world, right? You're looking at your daily habits. You're looking at how you show up with your family and your friends. So again, 4th, 5th, or 6th house, most of your lessons are going to be themes within that second quadrant. If you have Aries, oops, we missed one. There we go. If you have Aries in the 7th, 8th, or 9th house, now we're above the horizon. We're kind of out there in the world. The 7th house is our relationships and contracts, even our open enemies. The 8th house is about other people's money. Like when we get married and we merge, or when you're in a business partnership, it's your money with your business partner. It also is around inheritance and taxes and the lottery. It is also the house of deep psychological hidden wounds that we have to kind of go in and look at. Those are the scary things that most people are like, push aside. So you have Aries in that 8th house, you're going to be fiercely fighting, right, to get over those fears. And then the 9th house is the house of our beliefs and higher education, foreign travel, justice, publishing. Perhaps you'll be traveling more. Perhaps you'll be traveling and speaking. It's the house of the guru. It's the house of the preacher. It's the house of the coach. It's the house of the mentor. So either you might find a mentor or you might be coming into your own power and becoming a mentor. And then if you have Aries on the 10th, 11th, or 12th house cusp, right? They lead each one of those houses. These are the houses of achievement, a maturity. Like we are out there in the world. The 10th house is your career, your reputation, your mastery. The 11th house is people you would choose to hang out with. These are your friends by choice, your networks, perhaps different associations that you're involved with. And then Aries in the 12th house is going to be your dreams, where you might self-sabotage. It's a time for spiritual growth, right? So even though you have Aries as a fire sign, there's a time to go inward and maybe going to an island or going in isolation to kind of work on some of those things that you need to work on. So these are general themes that are happening with Aries. So I want you to go into your chart, notice what house and also what quadrant Aries is in, because it's going to be impacted by this eclipse as well as when the nodes change signs. So what is happening this week? Just to recap, right? On the 20th, we have a new moon. It's a solar eclipse at 29 degrees, and I'm going to show you why it's a solar eclipse. Then the sun goes into Taurus, making that square with Pluto. It's actually at 0 degrees, not 1 degree. I should change that. There we go, 0 degree. And then we have Mercury beginning its 3-week retrograde in Taurus. Then Pluto is actually beginning its retrograde. And so as of June, it will go back into Capricorn for the rest of the year and then come back into Aquarius in 2024. And then in May, we have the lunar eclipse. So let me take a moment here and just show you what makes a solar eclipse and what makes a lunar eclipse. So what makes a solar eclipse is when the moon gets in between the sun and the earth, right? So the moon is blocking the sun coming to the earth. And that's when the north node is close to the sun. Now at the lunar, and this is a new moon, in a full moon, the sun and the moon are disrupted through the earth. And this is where the south node is close to the moon. So again, solar eclipse is when the north node is by the sun and the moon comes between the earth and the sun. Lunar eclipse happens as a full moon. The sun and the moon are opposite each other. Earth comes between, and the south node is within 18 degrees of that lunation. So here is another view of what we were seeing for the solar eclipse on the 20th. So again, at that 29 degrees. So even though new moons are about new beginnings, this new beginning is really coming at the impact of the effect of something death and dying and just complete. So again, look in your own life and see what area, what is it that you were done with? Many of you have been hearing over the last couple of weeks, my Aries sits in the 6th house. And in a moment, I'm going to go through each one of the houses that you can see. In the 6th house, it's all about health and wellness and daily habits. And I've gotten to the point that I've started in January, been going to some doctors. I got my blood work back the other day, Aries. It has improved, but not enough. And I still have all this inflammation in my body. I can't take off this weight. So I am done. I've had it. And I'm going to my doctor on Friday and getting a whole new diet that I'm going to be on to help eliminate all this crap and inflammation in my body. And then 2 weeks later, because eclipses like the full moon and the new moon are every 2 weeks, we won't spend as much time today on this, but you want to mark on your calendar on May 5th. This will be the last lunation of the eclipses in the Scorpio and Taurus axis. So again, over these last 18 months, you've had, Taurus and Scorpio, our money, our values, our resources, our food, all these things have been up for negotiation. And we're coming to the end of that cycle. And then in July, the nodes change signs. And this is a really great site. It's www.drstanley.com. And this website has tons of information on astrology. So if you're looking for different transits and understanding different cycles, highly recommend going on to drstanley.com. And you can see in this chart, with everything in astrology, when you understand cycles, when you understand how the planets have operated in the past, it gives you clues into how the planets are and indicators will be operating in the present. So the last time that Aries had the North Node and Libra was the South Node was back in December 2004 through June 2006. So you want to think back in your life and what was happening in 2004 and 2006. For me, I was just getting out of a relationship. I was actually going through a very deep depression, and I needed to start my career all over again. And it was a very scary time for me. And so, knowing that that was the theme of 2004, 2006, I can anticipate that things around my career, things around my mental stability or instability are going to be up for review. So I want you to think about what was happening in your own life in 2024, in 2004 and 2006. Here's just another visual of what the lunar nodes and how they actually move within the sky. So every 18 years, right, they return back to their original place. Let's just say Aries. And so in 2004, it spent 1.5 years in Aries, 1.5 years in Pisces. And you can see every 1.5 years or 18 months, the nodes moved around the earth. And it's coming home to Aries on July 2023. So we're coming on this full cycle. And if you're like me, and I think many of you are, when we were born, have our North Node in our natal chart. So you want to look here between 18 and 20, 36 and 38, 54 and 56, 72 and 74. If you fall within those ages, right, that's the time when your lunar nodes are coming to their return. So just like Saturn, when we talk about a Saturn return, takes 30 years to go around the chart. The sun has its solar return. It's your birthday every year. The lunar nodes are every 18 to 20 years. So you can start looking back. For me, I am now coming up to my third lunar return. I'm 55. And so between 2023 and 2025, my nodes will be coming conjunct, and that will be another huge reset for me. So when we talk about the nodes, right, in the chart, I want you to remember that the nodes are a calculated point. The planets are things up in the sky, they're real, but the nodes are a calculated point. Wherever the North Node is, right, the one that looks like the headset, that is where our soul purpose is. It's our karmic path. It's where we must move forward. It's a place where we need to learn and expand and move into our future, and it's going to be uncomfortable. Wherever the North Node is, we got to stretch. It's not comfortable to be that. Now, I would hope after coming into my third lunar return that I've gotten better at being independent. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur now since 2008, right? I live alone. I don't have a lot of relationships going on. And part of that is part of my karma is to learn how to be fiercely independent. So when I do go into a relationship, like I've done in the past, where I lost myself and I compromised too much and I gave away too much of myself and being the people pleaser, right? I need to remain that Aries in every part of my life. Where the South Node is, right? Those are things that we're comfortable doing. Being kind, being negotiable, being charming and diplomatic and being there for other people. Well, that's not, that's easy for us to do, right? That's our instincts. That's things that we've mastered. But if we stay there, we become stagnant. And that's how we operated in the past. So where the nodes are, they're wanting you to grow. In Vedic astrology, which is the Indian astrology, the nodes are actually referred to as the dragon head and the dragon tail, known as Rahu and Ketu. And the story goes that in Vedic astrology, the dragon was cut in half. And so the top part is the dragon's head, and that's Rahu, right? Well, think about if you just had a head and you didn't have a body. You can eat uncontrollably. You could be obsessed and just go after things because nothing is in your body. It's just in your mouth. And so wherever Rahu is, right, that's where we need to focus on steroids. It's we have this Aries energy about being fast and being independent with this extra oomph of Rahu being there. On the flip side, right, or on the other side of the dragon, the bottom part, right, think about cutting our own body. The bottom part of our body is where we secrete things, right? It's like where our elimination process. So wherever the South Node, the tail of the dragon is, K2, that's where we need to let go. So all those qualities of Libra, of, we are, what about us, being diplomatic and fair, being considerate, hesitating and making decisions, being peaceful and charming, being inclusive, identifying ourselves with other people. Now, I'm not telling you to go be an asshole. Like, that's not what this is about. But this is about not giving so much credence to the outside world, into what we know in our hearts, what we want to do for ourselves, or what we need to do for ourselves in order to grow. So for all of us, we're going to dive deeper now into where Aries and Libra, that axis is in your chart. But I want you to remember, wherever the North Node is, that is your focus. That's where you need to be your individual self. You're embracing being a leader. You're learning to prioritize your needs, and for asking what you need. You're going to learn how to be comfortable being alone. It's about taking risks and learning from your experiences. It's about learning how to deal with anger and frustration, and being okay that you get angry and frustrated, and managing it in healthy ways, right? Libra, what we need to let go of, some of us will lose relationships. Some of us might lose business partnerships. We have to stop putting everybody else first above our own needs, and really learn, instead of suppressing your feeling and being like, oh, I'm okay, oh, don't worry about me. It's like, no, damn it, that pissed me off, or you annoyed me, or I didn't like it when I heard you do this. We got to learn how to speak up. This is a lesson for all of us that we'll be going through between 2023 through 2025. So the next set of 12 slides is going through what the axis of having Aries in one house and on the opposite side will be Libra. Every time they are opposite each other's, right? So if you have Aries in the first house, that means you're an Aries rising, and your quest, this is your thing that you need to do between 2023 and 2025. You are all about the quest for independence in all areas of your life. You need to become decisive. You need to take immediate action. It's not about asking for approval. It's not about leaning on your partners or your friends or your family to make decisions. This is about you fighting for what you want for your life. And on the opposite side, right, we're going to be more gentle. I mean, I love you, and right, I love me. And this is a time of not being selfish, but it's about a time of being very self-focused. Moving into the North Node, On the second and the eighth house accesses, these are both the money houses. The second house is how we make money, how we spend money. It's our self-worth and our value. The eighth house is other people's money, how maybe we get alimony, maybe we get money from an inheritance, maybe it's money from taxes. That's going to be less. With second house Aries, you're a Pisces rising, and your quest is for financial stability for yourself. This is about you going out and earning your money. This is about not being codependent on other people's money, but you earning your own. This is about learning about your self-worth. You know, a lot of the second house is your self-worth. It rules our throat area. It's us speaking up. Perhaps you'll be out there in the world speaking more. And this is all about you becoming an entrepreneur. Aries, second house, independent. This is definitely a time that if you are considering doing something on your own or more freelancing, this is definitely the time over the next 18 months that you're going to be really focusing on that North Node in the second house. North Node, Aries, third house, which means then the South Node, Libra, is the ninth house. These are the houses of our thinking and higher education. So where the North Node is in the third house. This is the place of skills. This is the place of our siblings. This is our everyday environment, our childhood friends. It's getting involved in the local community. It's about speaking and writing and going out there and doing podcasts and going out there and getting your message heard out in the world. It's about asserting your ideas. It's not just writing down your thoughts. It's about sharing your thoughts and speaking up for your thoughts. It's really about using your words, but with passion and excitement. You know, there's going to be less focus on higher education, more focus on traveling more local or, you know, short term versus taking any big trips. But a lot of your focus, Aries third house, is going to be all things about speaking up boldly, loudly, and courageously. Your North Node Aries in the fourth house means your South Node Libra is in the 10th house. So Capricorn rising, your quest is to embrace your home and your private world. There's going to be less focus, right, in that 10th house about status and recognition and the need to be acknowledged and glorified from the outside world. This is a time for you to think about, am I starting a family? Do I want to build a home? Maybe you're thinking about retirement. You're less concerned, again, about approval. You're giving yourself permission to even work from home. It's okay that you don't really have a real career, whatever that looks like. It's not about being in the spotlight. It's about you creating your emotional stability at home. It could be a time when you're taking care of your parents. It could be a time when there's some tension with your parents. You know, for many of you, your parents might be getting to a stage in their life where their independence might be taken away from them. And there's some big decisions that you and your siblings have to make about whether your parents need to come live with you or they need to go into an assisted living, that, you know, there's some concern about their safety. A lot of that focus is going to be in those fourth house matters, Capricorn risings. If you are a North Node fifth house, that means your South Node is in the 11th house. You are Sagittarius rising, and your quest is for self-expression. This is such a wonderful placement for the North Node. The fifth house is the house of joy. It's the house of our passions. It's the house of our children and our dating and how we just love to have fun in the world. So this is about you. If you're wanting to date, this is about maybe you being a little more assertive. This is about you taking action, going out online, asking people to set you up. If you have children, however, this could be a time when there could be some friction with your kids, or there might be some arguing with your dating, although you can have great makeup sex, right? Maybe you just need to romance yourself and take yourself out on a date. Aries is very sporty. Perhaps you'll start running or thinking about doing something that's Aries, which is very martial arts, or picking up, I don't know, what's that called? Fencing, something with knives, right? Aries rules knives. So this is a time for you to have fun, but get out there and just be fiercely passionate and take some really good risks. It's also based on what else you have in your chart. It could bring a lot of luck with Jupiter there. So if you're going to Vegas between now and May, It could be go get a lottery ticket, or you may want to put some numbers down and play the lottery. North node Aries in the 6th house. That means South node Libra is in the 12th house. You are Scorpio rising. And if you're like me, not only is this transit happening in the 6th house, but this is the imprint in which I was born with. So if you were around, again, 18 to 20, 35 to 37, 54 to 56, you have your North node in Aries, and you'll be coming up to your lunar return. For Scorpio rising, our quest is to serve, to fight for justice, and prioritize self, right? This is the house of healing. It's the house of health. It's the house of our daily habits. It's the house of the entrepreneur. Again, becoming a freelancer, creating your own schedule, learning practical independent skills. It's about taking initiative with your health. You've been hearing me talk a lot about that. You might be getting a new job or getting a freelancing job, but you're fighting for yourself. You're taking passion. You're taking charge. You're not waiting on other people. And if the answer isn't good enough, you're going to keep moving forward until you get the answers that you need. So again, Scorpio rising, your quest to serve, fighting injustice, and prioritizing yourself. If you are a Libra rising, your quest to partner with I can't even say the word. It is your quest to partner with, automotive. Oh God, pause that for a second. You're here to quest with your partner, but you need, autonomy, right? This isn't about you shrinking down in relationships. This is about you being assertive in relationships. It's learning how to be an assertive partner and asking for what you need, both with your intimate partnerships as well as your business partnerships. You might be getting out of a marriage. You might be getting out of a business contract. Realize it's okay to fight and get upset with your partner. It's good to get those emotions out. It's about being concisive. It's about being decisive, right? And not always leaning on your partner to have all the answers. Maybe it's as simple as you're not taking your partner's last name when you get married. You could have a dangerous partner. You want to be careful. This is, again, a house of partnership, and where the North node is, there's a little more emphasis and fire around that. So you want to make sure in your partnerships, especially if you're coming into a new relationship, one thing on the negative side of the North node is it's kind of the imposter syndrome. And people really aren't who they say they are. So I caution people in the 5th house with dating and the 7th house in marriages and partnerships and business partnerships. Please be aware of imposter syndrome with people that you are collaborating with. North node in the 8th house. Now the South node is in the 2nd house. Again, the house of money, but this time it's reversed. So for you, Virgo rising, your quest is transforming through crisis, partnerships, and psychology. This is the house, ruled by Scorpio. It's death and dying. We talked about, it's ruled by Pluto. Pluto is all about transforming to an entirely different form, but it comes through a crisis. I'd like to use the analogy. I think of like a ceramic cup, and you take that cup and you smash it on the ground. Now it's in all little pieces, and then you pick up those pieces and you make a mosaic, hanging piece out of it. So it's still that cup and those pieces, but it's transformed into something completely different. In the 8th house, we are looking at our fears, right? We're looking at things that sometimes we have been putting off and not wanting to change. So this is really a time to bravely confront some of that emotional baggage. And also with your partner might be going through a dark night of the soul experience. There might be some money challenges, right? So you need to be assertive and on top of things, and not to be afraid if things feel like they're going south, right? With money or your partnership, you want to fight for it and speak up. So again, this is for Virgo rising, your quest to transform through crisis, partnership, and psychology. North node Aries in the 9th house, South node Libra in the 3rd house. Again, still the houses of thinking and knowledge and education, but we're flipped. So for Leo rising, your focus is all 9th house matters. your quest for adventure, leaps of faith, and trusting your own truth, right? This is about taking action on your big ideas. It's about asserting your need to travel. This is definitely the house of travel and traveling alone. If you haven't done that, this could be a really wonderful time for you to experience going out into different cultures and taking risks and going to different parts of the world that you never thought you would go to. It's about, let's see, getting beyond hesitations, about taking leaps of faith. It's about, fighting for your faith. Maybe you've been raised in a certain belief system or dogma, and now you're like, you know what? I need to be free, Aries, and come up with my own way of having my truth to talk with God, spirit, universe, whatever that is for you. And really, this is the house of your passion and your moral compass. So again, another really important house about honoring your passion and going for it, regardless of what the outside world is telling you or giving you opinions on. Again, we don't care. This is all about focusing on our Aries and ourselves. If you are a Cancer rising, your quest is for excellent recognition and mastery, because the North Node is going to be in the 10th house and the South Node is going to be the opposite, the 4th house. So there'll be less, right? The decrease, releasing that focus on family, that focus on your home. You might be traveling tons with your job. There could be an incredible promotion that's coming on, but that promotion has you, working pretty long hours, and you're out there in the world, and there isn't a lot of time to be home. This could also be a time you could be fighting with other authority people at work. So you want to be careful about that, Cancer rising. It's a time to realize that you can't always please your family. And at this period, there's going to be this time period between July and even starting now in April, between April and of 2023 and January 2025, when the nodes finally move into, Pisces and Virgo. This is really about you just focusing on you, not good or bad, not right or wrong. There's something that needs to happen in order for your soul to grow. So again, Cancer rising, it's really focusing on those 10th house matters. If you are a Gemini rising, your quest for the next big idea for humanity, your North Node is in the 11th house, the house of hopes and wishes. It's about working with our network in order to get ahead. So it's about taking a leadership role, perhaps in one of your networks or your associations. It's about you being seen as a leader by your friends. It's about letting go of your need to be in this group forum, and you can kind of do things on your own. Again, leading a team, letting go, parting. Maybe you're getting rid, of some friendships. Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars is the planet of separation. So there could be some friends that are lost, but on a more positive note, right? There could be more creativity, more big ideas, realizing there's more to life than love and romance, right? That you're just really excited about your career and the possibility of creating something new for humanity. You might take up a huge cause. The 11th house is ruled by Aquarius. It's those causes that are bigger than ourselves and that really make a difference for humanity. So Gemini rising, again, your quest for that next big idea. And finally, when we get into the North Node being in that 12th house, and that means the South Node will be in the 6th house. So instead of focusing on your physical body and your physical health and what's happening in your daily life, Taurus rising, you're going to be spending some time in the spiritual world, making decisions to maybe step back from the grind of daily life. Excuse me. Becoming spiritually, more independent, just starting a spiritual practice, right? Activating some psychic gifts. You might start to tap into some gifts that you didn't realize that you had. This is a time for active dreaming and taking action on those dreams. It's about being brave enough to do those things that, even though the evidence isn't there and all the things look perfect, that you take those leaps of faith anyway. I was at one of my church meetings last night, and I'm part of this women's circle, and we were talking about the difference between gratitude and faith. And when it comes to, in the church and as a church perspective, we have gratitude when God, the universe, does things for us. But faith is about having gratitude before those actions and miracles even occur. So for you, Taurus rising, right, it's about being brave enough to face those fears, be brave enough to move past what you know, and start really listening to spirit and allow yourself to be guided by something that's calling within you. Oof, that's a lot. However, as I've been sharing with all of you for weeks, that this is my passion, sharing astrology and helping you use astrology to navigate your life. And for those of you who want to continue on that journey and understanding astrology and how to use it on a daily basis, we will continue to have opportunities. But, as we go through this solar eclipse and then go through the lunar eclipse, I will be sharing changes to this platform. And as I've also shared, as of today, I am no longer going to be offering just doing a one session of astrology with me. And I say that because not to push you into, spending more time to work with me, but the truth of the matter is astrology isn't just a one and done session. You can't just sit down for every 5 years or 6 years and think that the astrology is supporting you in making your decisions, right? Because even think about 2023. We needed to go through January and February and March, right? Getting all the planets moving forward. We needed to get Saturn to move into Pisces. We needed Pluto to get into the Aquarius. You got to be like, oh, okay, now I'm feeling those energies. Now this is the setup for the new year, right? We moved into the first house. We moved into Aries, right? For all of us, it's a new astrology year. We had a new moon, we had a full moon, and now we're having this other new moon. What is it that if we didn't let go of in the new year and we didn't let go on the astrology new year, that we have this one final chance? I'm done, I'm finished, I'm complete, no more. What is that part of your life when this solar eclipse is sitting at that 29 degrees? What is that? And then what is going to be your strategy, right? Moving into the summer, how the planets are moving, and into the fall, and how all these planets are working over at least the next 18 months, right? Just knowing Aries about where you need to be more independent and fiercely brave. And so it is my wish to continue to work with people who want to embrace this modality, more integrated into your life. And so I'll be sharing more with that towards May and into June. But for right now, like I said, this is a big video. I want you to get a notebook. I want you to write it down. I want you to timestamp where the different things that I talked about. We talked about Aries. We talked about what Aries is. We talked about the 4 quadrants and what it can look like when you have Aries in each one of those 4 quadrants. We looked at the nodes, and you can go back and look at, the cycle of the nodes. You can look whether or not you're having a lunar return or when you're going to have a lunar return. I gave you the website for drstanley.com. Highly recommend, lots of great resources there. And then I talked to you about what the North Node is, what the South Node is. We talked about the Vedic astrology of the dragon's head, the dragon's tail. We have Rahu and Ketu, where we need to focus with the headset. Where do we need to release on the South Node? And then I went by rising sign, where the Aries is in, a house, and on the opposing house, where you need to focus and where you need to let go. I'm telling you, this video will be something you will continue to go back through, at least over these next 18 months. And I am grateful that I can offer this complimentary session to you. And for those of you who are interested in doing other type of work with me and seeing where we can take your astrology, please give me a shout. Today is the last day. So if you want to schedule a one-on-one, you got to purchase today, and we can do it at another time. But today is the last day that I will be just, setting up appointments if you want just a one-time session over the next couple of weeks to really look at how this new moon, the solar eclipses, the nodes, Pluto, Saturn, how all of this is operating in your life. So thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for your interest. And if you're like me, I hope that the astrology is bringing you comfort, even in times that are challenging. I will share that I have Pluto and Aquarius in my 4th house, and Pluto is about death and dying. And, there's some things happening within my family that, I'm sensing there's going to be a loss coming soon. On a sillier mention, again, I have Aquarius where my sun is. Taurus, right? We talked about Taurus and Aquarius right now are having tension. Well, my sister's a Taurus and I'm an Aquarius. And last night she just pissed me off. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like, thank God I have the astrology to realize there's a little energy tension going through the fixed signs. And interesting, my brother is a Scorpio, so we, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Taurus, all 3 of us are fixed signs. So as much as we love coming together, Leo, right, where we all find joy, we're all very different and very fixed, right, in our ideas. My brother's going to be very scorpionic and just tells it like it is. And my sister's going to be all like wanting to make a list and make sure everybody's happy. And I'm just like, you're both stupid. I just need to walk away and isolate, because Aquarius is like, I know everything. I don't need you. But we do. We need each other. We need community. We need all of the signs and how they are operating in our life. And I look forward, for those of you who want to continue on this journey, to walk with you and beside you and take you forward on this journey we call life, and to continue to have our soul evolve in the most fulfilling and joyful way, even when it doesn't sometimes feel it. The universe is always moving us forward to something bigger, more joyful, something more exciting. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. So I hope that you trust that. God bless, and keep me posted on what you are noticing in your house of Aries. And let me know if you have your North Node in Aries, or if it's the opposite. You have your North Node in Libra and your South Node in Aries. Talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.